Hey everyone! Welcome back! I am back today with more JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and something a little different for you guys today. I've never done one of these before, but we are going to kick it off today. I'm going to be reviewing a JoJo manga, none other than Part 7, Steel Ball Run, you guys! Oh my goodness, I am so happy that I decided to read this manga. It was a tough choice for me, to be honest, because like ideally I'd always want to like watch the anime real time with you, but under the circumstances, now that I actually started reading it, I'm pretty freaking happy that I did. that I started reading it, because you guys have been building this up to me. You guys have been building up to like Part 7, like without giving any details, that Part 7 was like the best, like maybe some of the best work by Araki in general. Like, you've been building that up for a while now, and ordinarily I'd say, like, don't build something up too much, like, don't set the bar too high. No, you were not kidding. You were not kidding. It's like, I'm like, as of today, I've read 10 chapters. I'm only going to be reviewing the first 5 today, because there's a lot going on in the first 5, obviously, with establishing everything. 10 chapters in, I can already tell this is, like, freaking phenomenal. And I already love it. So you guys were not joking. So I am going to give this a shot today. Like I said, I've never done this before, so it's going to be kind of like a trial run sort of thing. Not trial run, because I'm definitely going to keep doing it, but like it's going to be probably a little rough around the edges. So we'll don't worry, we'll smooth it out over time. But before I get into everything, I do just want to say, if you're joining me early today, you know just what that means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so very much. And as always, I'm sending up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if not, still, thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. I do hope you'll consider supporting me that way. The link to my Patreon is going to be in that description down below. And if you're joining me on those YouTubes, I really hope you'll hit like, also subscribe for me. It does help me and my channel a whole lot. So thank you in advance for that. All right, I do have merch, but here's the thing. I think I'm going to, because some of it, I already have Steel Ball Run merch, you guys. You know it. You should know by now that yes, absolutely, I already have Steel Ball Run merch. I first started reading, like, I'm just now sitting down for the review, but I actually read this a few weeks ago, so you better believe that, like, as soon as I knew what I was getting into, had merch on order. But seeing as how it pertains to the characters of Steel Ball Run, I think maybe I'll wait until after, so that we're all on the same page and you know how I feel about the character I'm about to show you. So, all right. Like I said, this is new territory for me. I think what I want to do is I want to talk to you about, like, chapter by chapter, how I felt about it. And then I'll try to put, like, some screenshots up right here, like, as I'm talking about it. Hopefully that'll work out. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. But, like, that's kind of, like, what I have in my head. So I also am probably not going to, like, recap the entire story for you, like, give you a big summary and then tell you what I thought about it. I think for the most part, I'm just going to tell you, like, oh, when blah, 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 blah happened, and kind of give you, like, a little something to go on, because I know for those of you, even for those of you who have, like, read it or read it a few times, it is a very long manga, and if you haven't read it in a while, you might not remember every single thing that happened in chapter 1. But I'm not going to give you, like, a summary either, because, like, we'll be here all day. It's a very, very dense story, which I was kind of surprised about. And it's one of the things I'll talk about once I get into it. So, all right. So, kicking off with Steel Ball Run, Chapter 1. I have my notes in front of me. We start off with this character called Sandman, who is so cool. Oh, my God. Like, it's just... We'll get there. We'll get there, because, like, he's so cool. And he wants to enter this race called the Steel Ball Run, and it's for the top prize, like $50 million. And we learn that he wants to do that because he wants to buy back his tribe's land. And he uses these running techniques that no one in his tribe has seen before. It's like there's a lot of conflict with his tribe, kind of over like him doing this and everything. And he mentions that he's seen this man like training nearby with these like spherical objects, and just put a pin in that for later because we are gonna circle back around to that, no pun intended, because they're spherical. And we meet the like host of the race, whose name is Steven Steele, which makes sense because it's called Steel Ball Run. But I think there's another reason for the name for the Steel Ball. We'll get there. But it's kind of probably like a little double entendre, probably. So he's hosting the race. The race goes from San Diego to New York. It starts in San Diego, ends in New York. There's a lot of details about the race. I'm not going to get into every single thing until like I have to talk about it, just because, like I said, we will be here all day. But it's very involved. It's very involved, and it's a big like grandiose thing. Like this is getting lots of just like, I mean, there's so many people who are like lined up for this. Like they're like overwhelmed. Like when we first meet Steven Steele, he's getting all this info about how like they're completely overwhelmed by like all these people who showed up for this, and it's like a really big deal. So he seems like he's really committed to like the idea of this. Like his purpose for doing it seems to be really like heartfelt. I feel like he really believes in what he's doing here. So I mean, like that's a good sign. They do mention apparently he's like, we meet this girl that he's with, whose name is Lucy, and at first I'm like, I didn't know who it was. I'm like, is his sister? Apparently he's, oh my god, my windows are all open right now, so this is gonna be something to talk about with all the windows open. But apparently he's like married to a 14-year-old girl, and when I first read that, I'm like, what the fudge? Like what? No. And what I've been told is like, just don't like reserve judgment. Like his character is like good, I guess. So I'm like, I don't know what to do with that, and I'm just kind of hoping that maybe it's like it's not what it seems kind of thing. Maybe she was like in trouble, and he like married her to like just get her. I don't know. I'm really hoping it's not like what I think it is, which is he's married to a 14-year-old girl. That being said, I should probably mention this takes place in 1890, and it's not good. It's not right, but it was something that happened. That was a thing that happened. I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but he's definitely not 14. So that's the thing that I was like, oh, I was kind of taken aback by it, but I'm gonna reserve judgment for now because I have been told like just hang in there. Like so maybe there's something more to it. Maybe he's not like actually. Anywho, then we get to meet, guys. Okay, there's a lot of barking going on because the windows are open. Don't worry about it. We get to meet a character who, like, I'm obsessed with. There's so much going on with this character. Okay, we meet one of the people signing up for the race, and we see him signing his name, and it's Gyro Zeppeli. And let me explain to you why this just works on so many levels, because first of all, I had seen this character, like I knew what this character looked like for a while, because like I'd seen him on merch, and like for a little while, some of you know this already, for a little while, I actually thought he was going to be like the Part 6 Jojo. When you guys were being so secretive about Part 6 Jojo, I was like, oh my god, is this part? Because he looks like he's really giving main character vibes. I'm not gonna lie, he's giving, and they introduce him first, so like, but he's a Zeppeli, which already just we're checking off some boxes that I love here. He is so cool. His whole look is cool. He is cool. There's a lot of reasons to love him. But yeah, I had seen him. I just like knew what he looked like beforehand. And I was told, like, at the time, like, oh, yeah, no, he's from, like, a later part. Like, he's from, like, Part 7. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay. Before I got current with the anime, I thought this character, just from having seen him, like, seen pictures of him, I didn't know anything about him. I thought he was so cool that, like, I had dreams about him. I literally was having dreams about this character that I knew nothing about. Before, like, it was meant to be, you guys. I'm down pretty bad for him, not gonna lie. All right, so he has these spheres, so that's why I said, put a pin in the whole person training with spheres thing, because that's who Sandman was talking about apparently. He's so cool. There's this whole scene this guy like picks a fight with him as he's signing up for the race. He's paying for the race, and he's like sees he's $20 short. This guy like stole $20 from him, and it's just, he's just such a boss in this. And he uses one of these balls to like do something to the person's arm, and there's a character who sees it, and you know what's funny? I'm trying to figure out if they actually said this in chapter 1 or chapter 2. I had this in my chapter 1 notes. I think it happened at the end of chapter 1. But I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, enter Johnny, who is our Jojo. And initially, not only was I pretty surprised that like we would introduce like another, like a Jobro first, but I was like very curious about this because okay, so I knew going in that like we were going to have people kind of like named for other characters, and like off the top of my head, like same with Gyro, I'm like, is this supposed to be Will Zeppeli? Is this supposed to be, like, it can't be Caesar because of the timing, but, like, he kind of, like, of the two, he looks more like Caesar. He's blonde and everything. And Johnny looks nothing like Jonathan. And trust me, his similarities, the lack of similarities do not end there. Like, just wait for it. Okay, now there's, like, equipment going on outside. I hope that's not bothering anyone. Just don't worry about it. It's very hot, and I need the window open, so just... That is quite loud. Do you want me to shut the window? I'll shut the window. Hang on. Give me a sec. Okay, as soon as I shut the window, they stopped. So, nope, there they go again. All right, it's fine. I won't be too warm. I'll make do. I promise not to, I'll try not to pass out. What was I saying? I was saying that, like, Johnny does not look anything like Jonathan. Even though this takes place in the late 1800s, and his name is Johnny Joestar. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, I know now that he's supposed to be like, so this whole thing is like an alternate universe, basically. The whole thing is like, so you know what happened at the end of part 6? This is like, it's not, so it's just like another, it's an AU. It's an alternate universe. And like, we're just starting off with like kind of different versions of the characters, but they're not really, you know what I mean? Like Gyro's not really Will or Caesar. He's him. And Johnny's not Jonathan, you guys. Let me tell you right now, I had a rude awakening when I was So one thing that I was really curious about is when we meet Johnny, he's in a wheelchair. So clearly there's like a whole backstory here, and I was like, oh wow, what is going on? Like, tell me. So that's chapter 1. My initial thoughts on chapter 1. Guys, it is so detailed in every single way. Like, I've read Jojo manga before. I read all of Battle Tendency, and I started reading Stardust Crusaders. I have a lot of other, I just have not, like, read through them, but, like, it's this, part 7, full color. Full color. Art style, even more, like, detailed, even more honed. Then, like, you know how Araki had, like, the upgrade, and, I mean, yeah, I'd say it was an upgrade, but it was just, like, a change in art style around, like, part 4. Yeah. He's changing again. It's gorgeous. The world building is very intensive, right off the bat. Like, right off the bat, like, we don't waste any time. We're not, like, meeting people, getting to know them. Like, we jump right into, like, there's this race. Here's what's going on. Here's people doing it. Here's what's, like, yeah. The tone is, I hate to say, like, more mature, because I feel like whenever somebody says, like, oh, this is mature, like, they think of mature audiences. And I wouldn't really say it's, like, more, like, adult content-ish, you know? Although there is some of that, too, but I mean, we've always had that in JoJo, so it's not really, you know, we've always had gore. We've always had, like, stuff that, like, not for kids. But, yeah. The tone is definitely, like, what I'm told is that this was his switch from shonen to seinen. So it's a little, you could tell it's a little bit, it doesn't feel like shonen. Like, let's put it that way. It feels like it's more dialogue driven. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily as action driven. Not that there's not interesting stuff going on, and that like there's certainly action coming like in the later chapters, because I've read up to chapter 10 now. I'm only going to do, I think I mentioned this already, I'm only going to do 5 chapters in this review, and probably for the next one too, just because like there's so much going on. These first chapters were establishing everything. So like I really, I didn't want to like try to cram, you know, 10 chapters. I'm already up to like, you know, 15 something minutes by now. So I didn't want to be sitting here for like 45 minutes talking at you. So I'm just going to do 5 chapters, but, oh, there's some mentions of some characters that we know. There's mention of Speedwagon. There's mention of Abdul, which is really cool. I love that. Again, like, I don't think anyone's like, no one directly translates to like their other original universe self, but there's like mentions, there's like nods, there's references, there's Easter eggs. It's really, really nice. He's very focused on the plot. I said that already. The build up to Gyro is really great. Like he built up Gyro like such a boss, and like, so let me show you my Gyro thing now, okay? Because I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait on the merch, right? So I literally just got this in today, had this on order like not that long after I met Gyro, because I'm just in love with him. But look what I got from Jen Chan today. He's so beautiful. Isn't he so gorgeous? I got a Mista one too. Do you want to see the Mista one, or do you want to? Well, now that I said it, I feel like I have to show it. I'll show it after. I'll show it after, because like we're still talking about Steel Ball Run. See, this is why I never get anything done. I get so distracted. Oh, there's also some other, like, speaking of, like, characters that, oh, we're gonna, like, have this character here, but not this character. There's a new Dio, you guys, and his name is Diego, and I gotta say, his look is, he's a good-looking guy. I don't know what his purpose here is, because I already know a little bit about, like, the villain stuff. Like, I already know, like, how do I put this without saying anything that, well, very, very minor, broad spoiler. I guess if you literally don't want to know a single thing, then skip this part. But, like, I already know there's a big bad. There's a big bad villain. I've already, like, I know what he looks like. Because there's like a trailer and a theme song online for Steel Ball Run, and I saw them when I was on vacation. I didn't get to react. I'm sorry, I was on vacation. But I saw them, and they're amazing. So like, I already know what the villain looks like. You know what I mean? So like, Diego is not the big bad for this. So I'm like wondering like, what are we doing? And like in my heart, what I'm kind of hoping is that he's not going to be a villain, or he's not going to be like as bad of a, you know, he'll be like kind of like a whole horse, you know, like, yeah, he's technically an antagonist, but like he's really likable. Because honestly, like, I hate Dio. But if Dio wasn't Dio, I would love Dio. Does that make any sense? Like, if Dio's got a lot going for him, if he just wasn't Dio, you know what I mean? I think you get what I mean. Maybe you don't. But yeah, so I'm kind of hoping, I'm hoping this is like a Dio do-over. Like, we can have some things I like about Dio, but he's not gonna, like, hurt dogs. Like, I'm watching Diego very closely to see what contact, if any, he has with a canine. So I will let you know how that goes. But yeah, so he's Diego, but his little hat says Dio, and so he's like Dio. Gyro seems amazing. I already said that. He also seems pretty unhinged. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he seems like, yeah, he's like that. He's like that. He's like that, you guys. I think I'm gonna I already like Gyro a whole lot. I don't know what the spheres do exactly. At this point, like now that I'm up to chapter 10, I know a little bit more, but like at this is my notes from chapter 2, or chapter 1. Oh my God, we're only through chapter 1. All right, I'll try to speed through some other chapters. But, yeah, as of this point, I didn't know really what they did. In chapter 2, we meet a couple of new characters. We meet a character, Poco Loco, and we learn about, he got like his fortune told by this older woman, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Enya. Again, like the timing on that wouldn't work for it to be like a direct translation of the Enya that we knew in part 3. But it looks like Enya, like I'm pretty sure. Gyro is a boss. There was like, there was like a duel scene. I just have here like duel scene was amazing. Gyro is a boss. That's what I have written here. The steel balls. They have something to do with spinning. Because like when they hit, they're kind of like in motion. And they kind of like do this like, I can't wait to see this in the anime. This is going to look so cool when they do it. They do something to the things that they hit. Oh, this is the intro to, okay. I was going to say, I was reading my notes and I'm like, I feel like Johnny's not till chapter 2. Because we go through like pretty much the whole first chapter with just like no Jojo. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, chapter 2, intro to Johnny. Yes. That's all I have for chapter 2. I think I may have combined some of chapter 1 and chapter 2. That's okay, because I talked for literally forever about this. So just consider that my chapter 1 and 2. Chapter 3, we get to know Johnny Joestar, which I gotta say is a pretty cool name. It rolls off the tongue pretty well. Okay. I want to warn you, if you have forgotten any details and or you do not know anything about Johnny yet, for whatever reason, like if you're just joining me and you haven't read the manga or whatever, prepare yourselves, you guys, because he ain't no Jonathan. And like the notes here, the notes here get pretty crazy. So he was a child prodigy, basically, of horse racing. He won the Kentucky Derby at 16. I have written here, Johnny is no Jonathan. He's very talented when it comes to horse racing, and he gets very famous, but he leads, like, what's pretty much a very shallow life. I've written in my notes. The girls with a bunch of, like, oh my god emojis. Jonathan would never. I'm going to try to include a screenshot of this, because I thought I was, like, so filled with, like, surprise, amusement, and just general shock and horror at this. Because, like, you know how, like, some of our JoJos are always getting hit on? Because they're very beautiful. Like, all the JoJos are, like, this beauty is, like, one of the things that runs in the family, right? And Jojo, like, always really shot the girls down. And even Josuke was kind of, like, didn't really seem like he knew what to do with any of the attention. Oh, Johnny is, Johnny, he's doing something about it. Like, there's a scene where, like, these girls are like, hey, so my parents are out of town. And the look on Johnny's face, just, like I said, it filled me with so many emotions at once. I just, like, could not help but laugh. The look on his face was animal. He's I'm dying. I'm dying. Yeah, I'll just put up a screenshot because it's so I cannot imitate the face. Okay, but I literally have, like, Jonathan would never. So he's not, I mean, he has had a very different life. But he's definitely not Jonathan. Okay, so what happens is, like, his origin story is that he's being a total jerk. Like, he and this girl, she wants to go see a show, and she's like, can't you get us in? You're, like, famous and stuff. And there's a big long line to this show. And, he skips this kid who's been waiting in line, like, forever. And he gives him a really hard time about it. Like, the kid, like, tries to confront him and is really, like, kind of shy and nervous and shaky. And Johnny's just, like, a total jerk to him. And I was just reading this and I was thinking, like, at first I was thinking, like, oh my god, like, this makes Jotaro saying the B word to his mom and everything. Like, I can't believe Jotaro somehow is coming off better now compared to, like, how this guy is acting and, like, literally, like, one of the first things we see about him. But also as I was reading it, I was kind of thinking, like, you know, all that, like, focus and attention and fame and everything just, like, did not do anything for him. And he just, like, you could tell he doesn't have a lot of anything substantial in his life. And so I kind of felt bad as well. Like, because, especially after what I'm about to tell you, it just kind of feels like yeah, you know. Okay. This kid takes out a gun and shoots him And when I tell you, I gasped so audibly when I read this. Like, I don't know why I was not, like, I already knew he was in a wheelchair because I showed, but I just really honestly was not expecting that to, like, be his origin story. And I was in a public place reading this, and I was just like, worse than that, but I can't do it too much because if I breathe the wrong way, I'm gonna start choking. But yeah, I was very surprised. And then he wakes up in a hospital, and like some person is like stealing his blood from his leg, and that's how he finds out that he's paralyzed. Like, it's really awful. And like all the people, like even his dad isn't there, and the guy like mentions his dad's not there. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody really cares about him. It kind of feels like once he loses the thing that made him famous, like the ability to ride horses and everything, like he really doesn't have much past that. Like, he doesn't have a lot of bonds. He doesn't have a lot of like anything really substantial in his life. Like, everything in his life was very shallow. Like the fame, the girls, and it didn't do him any favors when he really needed help. Like, when he really needed someone, he woke up in the hospital, like, alone, having his blood taken by some random person. And also, like, it didn't do him any favors in terms of, like, his growth as a person, because he was not being a very good person at all in these early chapters. Here's Buffy! Hi, Buffy. Okay, so he is pursuing Gyro because he sees what happens with the balls. And one of the balls, like, hits his leg, and it moves. And he's thinking that, like, the balls have, like, healing powers. And Gyro is kind of like, no. He's kind of like, that's not how it works. But at this point in time, I'm wondering, like, is this, like, hormone where, like, it won't, like, fix you like Crazy Diamond, but, like, it promotes healing? Kind of? Like, it will help? It's like life energy? Like, what is it? Because, like, we know that the Zeppelis all had hormones. So, like, is this, like, the new hormone? Like, what is this? What is going on? And they build it up for a few chapters. Like, I'm still not totally sure how it works. But Johnny's really, really determined to ride again. Is it this? Oh, no, it's the next chapter. I was going to say, like, there's a really good scene where, like, he's trying to ride a horse again, but it's the next chapter, so we'll get to that. But, yeah, he wants to start riding horses again, and I think it's in the next... Yeah, it's in the next... I don't know why I'm getting ahead of myself. Chapter 4, for heaven's sake, before I start talking all about stuff that happened in Chapter 4. So we have this, guys, we have this scene, and if you were not falling in love with Gyro by this point, let me know, because I'm gonna say this is probably the one where you started falling in love with him. I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say it. There is a scene where he's like packing for the race. He's like, because they have this huge like journey ahead of them, and he's like, oh, this is too much, and you see all this stuff he's packing, and he has like toilet paper, and he's like, I have to unpack a little bit, and he's unpacking. And he takes out the toilet paper and he's like, I could just use leaves and And that's not even the best part. The best part is he's unpacking all this stuff and it's very comedic. And he has a teddy bear and he gets through like unpacking to like get to the right, size, weight, whatever for his bag. And he looks at the teddy bear and he just smiles at like I'm keeping this. Like, of all the things, like, don't eat toilet paper, but I'm keeping the bear. The bear stays. And I don't know if you noticed when I showed you the charm, but, like, I was so delighted when I got it today because I noticed there's, like, bears in the background of the charm. Oh, my God, you guys. I am not going to lie. I wished more than once that I was this teddy bear. Like, I think we all want to be his teddy bear. I think you want to be his teddy bear. I think you're lying to yourself if you're trying to say you don't, because I do. I for sure do. But it was just so fun. It was just one of those scenes. Like, he has the goofiness of like some of our goofier like JoJo characters, like Joseph, or like you just know how I am about Joseph. So I think I'm down pretty bad for Gyro at this point. I'm Yeah. I have in here, but he kept the teddy bear. Ah. I was like writing this as I was reading. Okay. Okay, so this is the part where like Johnny, he's trying to get on he has a horse, like he wants to enter the race because he thinks if he enters the race he can like get closer to Gyro or like kind of prove something to Gyro so that Gyro will help him with the balls. And he's trying to like get back on the horse and like it's just, oh, it's so brutal. And like they mention that like he won't let anyone help him and everything. He's just like, he's so beat up and like, I mean, it's a really brutal, but also kind of like, there's something about it that sort of shows his resiliency, and Gyro notices that. So I'll get to that in a second. But Sandman is amazing. There's a really cool Sandman scene in this one. I already thought his motivation and background was cool, but getting to see him interact more in the main plot is great, and he has an amazing look. Oh, he uses this emerald. Like his way to get into the race, to like pay to get into the race, is he uses this emerald, and there's this whole scene where like he presents it to the person's being super obnoxious and like racist to him, who's like taking his payment, and then he presents the emerald. It's just such a cool scene. Like he's just such a boss, and I'm really enjoying him so far. He's got a cool name. He seems like a cool person. And remember how I said he had like these very unique running techniques? Yeah, so there's this thing about the Steel Ball Run race. You don't have to race a horse. Like there's somebody like entering a car, like basically like an early form of a car. And Abdul has a camel. Yeah, Sandman is going on foot. He's running the race. And there is like they get more into his technique later, and as a runner, I was just like, so impressed. But I think that's a later chapter, so I'll get to that later. Okay. Oh. Steven Steele gives this like speech where what were the details of this? I was very amused by this. He says oh, was it? Buffy's about to start barking. What was the joke? Because I just have, like, what I thought of the joke, but I don't have the entire joke here. But I have, like, he broke the ice with his sacred ice speech. Dad joke. LMAO. So I'll try to put the screenshot with the actual joke on it. But it was just, like, it had something to do with ice. And I'm like, he broke the ice. So I made a dad joke about his dad joke, basically. And I feel like he was, like, amused about the dad joke as well. I'll put the whole screenshot up here. I guess that really made an impression on me. I don't know. It's in my notes. There's hints about the balls in this one. Gyro mentions to Johnny that like he's impressed by Johnny and like his resiliency and persistence and determination, and he's like, okay, I'll give you a hint, like you already know the answer. And I'm like, huh? And it's all about the spin. I don't know what that means, but the ball does like spin. It's a whole, we'll get there. He says this thing all the time where he says like Neo Ho, and I just love it. It's such a cute catchphrase. And like I could just picture it being like performed. Like I'm sure there's like clips, because there's clips of like people doing the voices out. Like there's so much for part 7 that like isn't even official out there. It's amazing. Like look it up. Like I said, look up the trailer and the song and everything. The song is a friggin' banger, you guys. It's not the official theme song. Literally is like a fan-made song, but it's so good, and the production quality is so good, and the song is so good. Like you're gonna be like, oh my god, they need to use this in the show. So let me know when you've looked that up, or if you've already seen it, heard it. But I just thought Neo-Ho was cute. Johnny's horse seems really sweet. I don't know why I wrote that. He seems like a sweet horse. He seems like a nice horse. Johnny says spin and gets on the horse. So I don't know, like I'm still like at this point it's like a mystery to me, like what exactly is going on. But like there's something about these balls, you guys. Please nobody take that out of context. There's something about them, and there's something about the way that they spin or something. Again, we do get to more of that later, so just, you know, put a pin in it. Chapter 5. I don't have much about Chapter 5. They go into this whole thing. There's like a time bonus. So the race starts. I should probably mention that. And there's this whole thing about like a time bonus. So Gyro decides like he's going to try to get the time bonus. And Abdul gets taken out here. Like not killed or anything, but he's like out. He falls basically off of his camel. And runs into cacti after. Oh yeah, Gyro like does this thing where he sort of like uses his power, which is so vague, to like lure him into this patch of cacti, and he falls. So, oh, they also get into more about Diego or Dio. He's Diego now. He's very, very smart. He's very wily. I would expect nothing less. He says this thing about how you can't change fate, and I'm just like, bruh, I'm not ready to, I'm too soon after part 6 to hear you talking about fate. No. He and Gyro are kind of like neck and neck at one point, and he does a really good job of like reading the situation. It's like one of those things where it's just all like them battling with their brains, like doing the strategy thing. It's really, really good. But I can't believe I actually have this written. But Gyro didn't need to analyze the situation to use his balls. Lol. That's what I have written here, you guys. That was my maturity level as I was taking these notes. Most of this I did either like in an airport or like in bed at night. So both times I don't think I was very, I'm sure I was not like at my peak intelligence level. But yeah, so basically Gyro's intuitive in a different way, you know, like Diego's playing chess over here. And Gyro's just kind of like, it seems like he's a little bit more like, he's very smart, but like, it's almost more of like an intuition kind of thing. I don't know. That's just kind of how it felt to me. Okay. So we also learned that, character that I mentioned a couple minutes ago, Poco Loco, he has like a luck. His thing is luck. Like a pet. Did we get to a stand yet in this part? I think that's in the next chapter where they like actually introduce a stand. I'm not sure. But yeah, apparently like his thing is like luck. And what Anya told him was that like he was going to have like the best luck of his life, basically. Like he was going to be unstoppable. And so far it's like you see all these things happening to him and he's like, oh my God, I can't believe like what is happening right now. And then it turns out that like it works out perfectly for him. It's almost kind of like, you know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of Whole Horse and Boingo. Yeah, Boingo. Where like he's like, I can't believe that I would have to like put my fingers up Polnareff's nose, like what is happening? But then like it worked out. It's kind of like that, only without Boingo. Oh my God, I wonder if I'm really curious to see like how many references we're gonna have to like characters that we know from the original universe, because like I don't even know what like Oingo Boingo would look like in this. I know Mr. Hime is gonna be real concerned about Oingo Boingo from the start. His like all-time favorite like characters of all time, him and Oingo Boingo. I made him for Christmas. I made him an ornament. And it has like a picture of the Oingo Boingo comic on the front. I like glued it. And it says on the back, Oingo Boingo could totally defeat King Crimson. Because he kept saying that through part 5. He's like, you know what we need? We need Oingo Boingo. Alright, enough about them. But it did kind of remind me of that. Okay, so that's what I have for chapter 5. I will, when I'm putting the screenshots in here, hopefully like that will work out well. And if I like notice anything that like, oh my God, I almost forgot, like I didn't get to write a note on that, like I'll just write it. I'll just write it on the screen, no worries. But that's what I have written. So yeah, guys, overall impressions of like the first 5 chapters, superb. As of chapter 1, I was like, oh my God, like what are we getting into right now? Like this is so, like I said, you could just immediately tell like the tone, like it's dense with dialogue, with facts, with world building. It looks different. It feels different. There's tons of nods to like characters you know and love. But it definitely feels like he he took everything, Araki sensei took everything that he had kind of done up to this point and just sort of leveled up with it and decided to do something really different. And you know what? I give him so much credit. I was actually just thinking today about like how much JoJo's is about change and how important it is to like really just kind of let Araki cook. Because so many times I found myself like, oh, like, I don't know, is this gonna be as good? I don't know. And like, you know, it's very like, for me, like starting off a whole new universe, I knew, so you guys had told me way back like last year when I was still doing part 4, I kind of guessed, I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna like, are they gonna do like a reboot? Because how are we gonna keep like, how are we gonna keep getting JoJo's with like 9 parts? And so I've known for a while, because you guys were like, you confirmed, like, yes, there will be a reboot. I didn't know how, I didn't know what that looked like, I didn't know we were going to be like doing everything we did in part 6 to like establish the idea of alternate universes. But yeah. So I knew that was coming for a while, and like I kind of had my like reservations about it, I'm not gonna lie. I love the characters we built up, and you know, like in every part I was like, where is this person? Where's that person? Like I want to see them again. I'm like, and you know, it's really like, it's taught me a lot about just like change and kind of like, to use an Ario Speedwagon phrase, to roll with the changes a little bit, you know? And that's how I feel about this. Like, it's literally a brand new world. I know by now to let him cook, and I'm already glad that I've made that decision to just like really just see where he goes with this, because already I'm very, very impressed by what he's doing and the changes that he's made. And I just feel like he's the kind of author that like, you know, you see a lot of authors that kind of get like a little bit like stuck in a repetitive kind of like, he is the opposite. He's always like, I want to try this, I want to do this, I want to try this, I want to do this. He just seems like the kind of like, if I could just go off on Araki sensei for a minute, he just seems like the kind of person who is so like intrigued and engaged by like different things. Like you can see it in the references and inspiration that he uses from all kinds of things: pop culture, Western music, fashion, different parts of the world, like everything. It's just like, he just feels like he is so inspired by like the world around him, and he's just like, he would be that person that was just like, he would see something on Pinterest and be like, I want to do that, I want to try that, you know? Like if he has a Pinterest, his Pinterest is hopping. You just know he's got a hopping Pinterest page. The boards are hopping. You just know it. Like he just, his mind is an incredible thing to me. So anyway, I'm really, really excited. Oh wow, it's like the light is coming through the window right now and just like illuminating me like an angel. I'm like an angel, like a little JoJo angel. Alright guys, so that's it for the first 5 chapters. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts about it. I hope you like the if you let me, how do you like the format? How are you liking this? Do you want me to do more chapters, less chapters? Do you want to hear less? Like, what do you want? You know, like, do you want to hear less about, like, this happened, this happened, this happened, and this is what I thought about it? Like, is that a good format for you? Because I've never done this before. Like, I've done book reports to you before, but I feel like this is a little bit different because it's ongoing. And so just kind of clue me in as to how you're feeling, and we'll work through it. Okay. So yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed hearing all of that. I need to go get a drink because I just talked for 45 minutes straight, which, believe it or not, is not even that weird for me because I talk a lot. And please be sure to join me for chapters 6 through 10, and we will discuss it, I guess. We're not watching it. We're not really reading it. We will discuss it together. Bye for now, guys.